Hey you guys, it's Peter, and welcome to my channel, Peterisms, where I tell stories of my life and just little things that I have learned as I have grown into the person that I am today. And I have all of my meditation books that I've been using for the last year, minus the Melody Beatty ones. The Melody Beatty ones I did last year and I did this year. So I brought these out. I haven't read any of these meditations today, so I'm just gonna go through here and randomly pick a few. I haven't been on here for, I think, 2 or 3 days, actually. Took a little break over Christmas. Did you guys have nice holidays? If you celebrate Christmas, did you hang out with your family? Were you at home? Did you get to catch up on some TV? I hope you guys had fantastic holidays. And yeah, now we're gonna get into working on ourselves in 2020. So I think like this week from now until New Year's is kind of the week that you get prepared and you're like, okay, these are the things I'm gonna do in the new year. And a lot of us, right, like by the 3rd of January, we've already forgotten those things. So I will say this, I am a big believer in goals, not resolutions. And the reason for that is, for years and years and years, I did New Year's resolutions, right? I think my husband actually does New Year's intentions. And so, you know, for years I've done like New Year's, I did New Year's resolutions, but then what would happen would be by like the 3rd or the 5th of January, if my goal was go to the gym every day, and then I hadn't gone to the gym in 3 days, I'd be like, oh, well I failed at that one, forget that one, right? So now, the last couple of years what I've done is I have done goals. That way it's something to aim for, and it's more of kind of like a universal goal. It's not just a specific kind of goal. Like if my goal is to go to the gym more, that would be part of a universal goal of living healthier, if that makes sense. So with that being said, are you working on your goals for 2020? If you want to do resolutions, do resolutions. It's whatever works for you, but for me, that's why I choose goals instead of resolutions. Okay, December 27th. Let's see where we're at. It's hot in here. Okay, December 27th, moral power. Moral power is probably best when it is not used. The less you use it, the more you have. Andrew Young. When we think we're right, we think we're right. We're convinced that what we believe and what we want done is supported by moral authority. And we want to use this moral authority to force others to believe as we believe. But even though others may sometimes do what we want, they don't always seem very happy about it. Any power, even moral power, perhaps especially moral power, can create resentment. None of us want to be ordered or coerced. We want to feel that we've looked at a situation and made our own choices. Even when I'm right, and there's no question about it, I'll do better. Even when I'm right, and there's no question about it, I'll do better if I try to win others over to my position rather than forcing them to do what I want. Okay, let's read that quote again. Even when I'm right, and there's no question about it, which is the very rare, I'll do better if I try to win others over to my position rather than forcing them to do what I want. I'll do better if I try to win others over. Well, you know, it's interesting. Like, I don't know, like, maybe it's just been like, because I focused so much on myself in the last year, but I don't typically get into discussions with people like that anymore, you know? I actually really enjoy conversations where there are differing points of view, and somebody will say to me, I understand where you're coming from, and I see that, but like, this is where I see it, right? And I'm like, you know what? Like, I never thought of it that way. And that's called having a mature, open-minded conversation. And in fact, I think one of the things that's funny about that, you know, is that when I was younger, my friends and I, like in high school and early college and stuff like that, seemed to be able to have those conversations sitting over coffee at Denny's much easier than myself and a lot of adults are today. You know, I feel like as we get older, we like believe in what we believe, and it's like, and if you don't believe me, unfriend me on Facebook. You know what I mean? Like, or if you don't agree with me, then unfriend me on Facebook. It's like we stand by these things, and we see things as absolutes, you know, instead of seeing that there's a lot of gray. We see things only in black and white. We don't see, we see all these huge absolutes, right? Well, I don't know that I think that the world works in absolutes. And so I try to stay open-minded to other people and what their positions or their stances, you know, unless it's just something that just does not go along with what I believe whatsoever. And then, I mean, like, if it's oppositional to what I truly believe philosophically, you know, about myself and things like that, then, you know, but I'm trying to think of a situation like that. You know, there's a few, you know, but I will say this, in talking about morals and values and things like that, that, oh shoot, what now? It's like one of my favorite quotes. It's not a Janis Joplin quote, which hers are some of my favorites, but it's from the movie The Contender, and it's about principles, which is, also about morals and values and things like that. And one of the things that she says in the very end of the movie is, she says that principles only mean something if you stick to them when they're inconvenient. Now, I think that there is a difference in forcing your principles on somebody else and sticking to your belief system. I think that, one of the things that we are given in this world that people cannot take away from us no matter where we are, I believe, but definitely, where I live, is that inside of my mind, you can't take away my belief system. Like, I might be forced to do something else, but you can't take away, I'm physically forced, but you can't take away my belief system inside. And I think sometimes, to many, that freedom of our mind is the only place that they have freedom, And so I believe very strongly in that our principles only mean something if we stick to them when they're inconvenient. And I think that's hard, I think it's hard in this world when we really believe something and then we're sitting by somebody. Let me give you an example, okay? For years, because I was uncomfortable standing up for myself as a gay man, when people would make gay jokes around me, okay? Not other people of the LGBTQIA plus community, but other heterosexual people would make gay jokes, I would kind of laugh along with it, if it was in a work environment or wherever I was at, because I didn't know how to handle those situations and it was uncomfortable to me, right? And then one day, it wasn't. I don't know what changed in me, but one day, it was like the joke wasn't funny anymore. And I was like, I can't just sit there and laugh along with this, right? And so for that point going forward, when somebody would make a joke that to me wasn't funny, I would say, I'm offended by that joke. Or I would say, I don't think that's funny, or, whatever. And whether it, stopped him in the moment or it stopped him in the future and it made him think about things, I don't know, right? But I think that, and it's not my job to educate other people about, how we make other people, feel in those situations. But for me in that moment, I was uncomfortable. And I just couldn't laugh along with the joke anymore. And that was something I had to stand by and believe. And it was personal to me, And I'm sure all of you out there have things like that. So that was a great meditation. Okay, let me pick another one. This is the one on the book on self-esteem. Let's see, December 27th. Okay, December 27th, when everything seems to be going wrong and my emotions grow ragged, I sometimes convince myself that being around other people is the last thing in the world I need. I feel vulnerable, even fragile. I think I need to be alone in order to solve my problems. Besides, I tell myself, nobody would really understand. When I isolate myself and I turn my back on fellowship, I invariably become more confused. I lose touch with my spiritual self and with the principles that have been fundamental to my progress thus far. My thinking and behavior during these periods of isolation serve to intensify the emotional pain that drove me to seclusion in the first place. Sometimes I have to suffer by myself and go to the end of the line, so to speak, before I ask for help. At other times, I don't choose to wait that long. I pick up the phone and tell a friend what's going on. When I share my problems and my feelings about them, I almost always receive what I need from my fellows: wisdom, support, and love. Thought for today: isolation will compound my problems. Fellowship can help to alleviate them. I love that meditation. And I think there is a very, very fine line between isolation and just wanting some time alone. I think it's a huge, huge, huge fine line. Or not huge. I think those are two huge things, and there's a very fine line in between them. There have been moments in my life where I've isolated because I just didn't want to deal with anybody else's opinions, anybody else telling me it was going to be okay, anybody else just saying, I'm sorry. I just really didn't want to hear from anybody else, if that makes sense. And I think we've all been there. And so I almost would shut down and just be by myself, shut down and be, whatever. Today, I don't do that. And I know that that's a really unhealthy place for me to be, because sometimes when I'm alone with my own thoughts, my thoughts spin and I start thinking, screw this and screw that and it doesn't matter and whatever. And especially when I was in early sobriety, we talk a lot about isolation in early sobriety because that's dangerous, okay? For addicts to be alone in their head, isolated from other people and fellowship, that's dangerous, right? That could lead us back to relapse. And for me, I was so scared of that in early sobriety that I was constantly around people, even if it was people that I didn't really want to be around, right? Sometimes it was better just to be sitting next to somebody at Perkins. I've now shouted out all of the little coffee places, but we used to go to Perkins a lot when I got sober, and Denny's and Steak and Shake and all those places, But anyway, sometimes I'd be at a table with people and I'd be like, oh my God, there's a saying, that we are people that wouldn't normally mix. And I would like look around the table and I'd be like, I have nothing in common with these people except for sobriety. And thank God for those people. Thank God for those people for not looking at me and being like, I have nothing in common with this dude. Why is he here? They didn't care. They cared about me. And, and I think that's what true love of friendship is. And, and even just in fellowshipping, whether that's a support group, a 12-step program, coworkers, family, whatever, to reach out to somebody and to be able to say to somebody, listen, like, I need some help. Like, I need to just talk about this and let that person know what you need. Like, I just need to vent. I don't need any problem solving. I just need you to listen. Or, hey, can you take me to a movie? Or can we just go shopping? I don't want to talk about anything. I just want to get my mind off things and just go do this for a while, I think it's fair for us to ask for what we need. And I think sometimes people, they respond to it in ways that we don't necessarily like because we're not good at communicating for what we need. So, for example, we might have a friend that wants to like say, well, you need to do this or you need to do that. And we're like, God, why did I even call this person up? Because all they want to do is tell me how to live my life and they don't understand, right? But then it's our job to say, listen, I love you and I appreciate what you are trying to do for me in this moment, but I'm not at a point where I can hear any kind of problem solving. Like, can you just be my friend and just listen to me today? And, most people I think will say, sure, like I would love to do that for you. Anybody that gets like frustrated and angry about that, well, I mean, like, I think that goes back to the first meditation of like always needing to be right about things, and for me, I think it's about, wouldn't you want to make the people in your life the happiest as they possibly can be? And I don't want people to isolate. And I will tell you, I'm quick in my friend group that if somebody's isolating, I'll call them up and I'll be like, you know what? I haven't seen you and you're isolating. Like, what is going on? Especially if it's a person in sobriety, because that is a really, really scary place to me. Especially when it's a person in sobriety that is like alone for the holidays or they don't have, any family or friends or whatever. I like make a point of like reaching out to those people and being like, hey, what's going on? You okay? Like, do you need somewhere to hang out? Whatever, and most of the time, people will be like, no, I'm good, but thank you for checking in on me. And I think just to know that communication is open, is great. And I think you don't have to be in sobriety for that. Just pick up the phone and check in on somebody. If you have a coworker, even if it's a coworker that you don't even really like, we can do random acts of kindness for people that we don't like, and reaching out to that person because you knew they had nobody to be with on the holidays and just be like, hey, I was just checking in to see if your Christmas was okay, just text them and just let them know that somebody out there cares. I have to say that in my life, it's been, I was gonna say funny, but it's been interesting that there have been moments when I have said very small things to people that to them were huge. And I didn't even realize it in the moment, that I might just say to somebody like, hey, you know what? Like, I'm worried about you. Like, please call me if you need me. And they don't. But then like a year later, they will say to me, that time that you said to me, like, I didn't even know you knew who I was, or I didn't even know that you cared who I was, And likewise, when people have said, sometimes the smallest things that people have said to me that are just like I see it for what it is now, or I do have people that care about me. I do have, I think we get into that headspace of like, nobody cares about me. I don't have anybody. Nobody likes me. And then we realize, you know what? I actually do have some people that care about me. So, those have been the moments for me as well that have really changed things and changed my perspective. And sometimes it's just that small action of me sitting at home, like back in the day, and I'd just be miserable and going through my own sadness or whatever. And somebody would send me a text, and I wouldn't necessarily want to get on the phone and talk to them for an hour, but just the fact that somebody was thinking about me made all the difference, So anyway, it's in small ways that we can help other people. So let me know what you think about those meditations below. I don't know what I was looking up at there. Anyway, let me know what you think about those meditations in the comment section below. I hope you guys had a wonderful holiday. I love you, and I will see you tomorrow. Bye.